Give a man a rock and tell him to lift it with his bare hands. Watch him struggle. Watch the sweat pour down his face. Watch his muscles strain and tremble under the weight, and watch him fail. The rock does not move. Now give that same man a long metal bar and a simple fulcrum, a point of leverage. Watch him position the bar, apply the principle, and lift that same rock with one hand, almost effortlessly. Did the rock become lighter? No. Did the man suddenly develop superhuman strength? No. He simply discovered and applied the principle of leverage. This is not a story about rocks or bars. This is a story about your life. Most men spend their entire existence trying to lift the enormous rock of poverty, obscurity, and limitation with their bare hands. They grunt, they strain, they sacrifice their health and their years, and they call this noble struggle hard work. Wallace Wattles looked at this spectacle and called it something else entirely. He called it tragic inefficiency. We have been taught from childhood that hard labor is the highest virtue. We have been told that the path to success is paved with sweat, sacrifice, and suffering. We glorify the man who works 3 jobs, who sleeps 4 hours a night, who destroys his body in service of survival. But Wattles challenges this entire mythology with a single revolutionary insight. Man is not a beast of burden. Man was not created to be a mule, pulling the cart of his circumstances until his back breaks and his spirit dies. Man is a creator, fashioned in the image of the creative power itself. And here is the secret that the world has hidden from you. There exists a specific mental connection, a spiritual lever of unimaginable power that, when properly engaged, does the heavy lifting for you. This is not mysticism. This is mechanism. This is the science of leverage applied to the human mind. When you establish this connection, you replace the brutal inefficiency of physical toil with the elegant efficiency of mental power. The sweat of the brow gives way to the precision of thought. The promise of hard work is a deception, because hard work alone guarantees nothing except exhaustion. You know this already. You have seen men work themselves to death and die poor. You have seen others achieve in months what those hard workers could not achieve in lifetimes. The difference is not intelligence, not talent, not even opportunity. The difference is leverage. The question you must ask yourself is this: are you pushing the streetcar, or are you riding it? Are you generating the power, or are you connecting to the power that already exists? Most men never ask this question. They accept the burden. They bow their heads. They push. In this exploration, we are going to discover the fulcrum that changes everything. We are going to locate the exact point of leverage that allows you to achieve in one focused year what the hard worker achieves in a scattered lifetime, if he achieves it at all. This is not about working harder. This is about working from a completely different plane of operation. Wallace Wattles revealed what he called the leverage secret, and it is elegantly simple. There is a powerhouse, an infinite reservoir of creative energy, intelligence, and force, and you can connect to it. When you make this connection, you stop being the generator and become the conductor. The electricity does not come from you, it flows through you. And when it flows, obstacles dissolve, solutions appear, and what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. We are going to learn step by step how to throw the switch, how to grab the wire, how to close the circuit. Are you ready to stop lifting rocks with your bare hands? Then, let us find your lever. Wallace Wattles offers us an analogy so precise, so illuminating, that once you grasp it, you will never see effort the same way again. He compares a human being to an electric streetcar moving through a city. Now observe this streetcar carefully. It glides smoothly down the tracks, carrying its passengers effortlessly from one destination to another. It moves with power and consistency. But here is the critical insight. The streetcar itself generates none of this power. Look above it. There is a wire. That wire connects the streetcar to a distant power plant, a massive generator producing endless electrical current. As long as the streetcar maintains contact with that wire, as long as the connection remains unbroken, it moves, it functions, it fulfills its purpose. But the moment that connection is severed, the moment the arm lifts from the wire, the streetcar stops dead. It does not matter how well built the streetcar is. It does not matter how determined the driver is. Without the connection, there is no power. Without the power, there is no movement. Now apply this image to your life. You are the streetcar. You were designed to move, to create, to achieve, to accomplish great things in this world. But you were never designed to generate the power yourself. The desperate man, the struggling man, the exhausted man, he has made one catastrophic error. He believes he must produce the electricity that moves him forward. He believes the power must come from within his own limited resources, his muscles, his willpower, his personal energy reserves. And so he pushes, he strains, he tries to move the streetcar by getting out and shoving it down the tracks with his bare hands. This is what the world calls hard work. This is what Wattles calls insanity. You are pushing a vehicle that was designed to be powered. You are generating force with your body when you were meant to channel force through your mind. The streetcar does not push itself. It connects. And in that connection, it finds limitless power. But where is this power plant? Where is the generator that produces the energy you need? Wattles is unambiguous. It is the universal mind, the infinite intelligence, the creative power that permeates all existence. You may call it God. You may call it the universe. You may call it the formless substance. The name does not matter. What matters is that it exists. It is everywhere. And it is producing infinite power at every moment. The hard worker tries to create wealth from nothing. The man of leverage knows that wealth already exists in the universal supply, and his only task is to connect to it. The hard worker tries to generate ideas from his own limited intellect. The man of leverage knows that all ideas exist in the infinite mind, and his only task is to receive them. The hard worker exhausts himself trying to force outcomes. The man of leverage aligns himself with the creative power and allows outcomes to emerge naturally. Do you see the difference? One man is the generator. The other man is the wire. One man burns out. The other man lights up the world. This is not theory. This is observable fact. Look at the great achievements in human history, the inventions, the discoveries, the breakthroughs. Did they come from men straining at the limits of their personal capacity, or did they come from men who opened themselves to something greater? The inventors speak of inspiration. The artists speak of the muse. The scientists speak of intuition. These are all descriptions of the same phenomenon: connection. The wire touched the source, the circuit closed, the power flowed, and the man who was connected achieved what 1,000 disconnected men could not achieve with a lifetime of effort. This is the leverage secret. This is the mechanism of effortless power. You are a streetcar, and above your head at this very moment, the wire is waiting. The power plant is running. The electricity is flowing. All you must do is reach up and make contact. But most men never reach up. They have been conditioned to believe that reaching up is cheating, that asking for help is weakness, that connection is dependence. And so they disconnect themselves from the source and wonder why life is so hard. They cut the wire and then complain that they have no power. They sever the connection and then glorify their struggle as virtue. Wattles watched this tragedy unfold in every direction and finally said, "Enough. There is a better way. There is a smarter way. There is a way that honors the design of the human being rather than violating it. You were not built to generate. You were built to conduct. You were not built to produce the power. You were built to channel it. And when you understand this, when you truly grasp this, everything changes. Your relationship with work changes. Your relationship with achievement changes. Your relationship with exhaustion changes. You stop trying to do everything yourself, and you start allowing the power to do it through you. The question you must ask yourself now is simple. Are you connected or disconnected? When you sit down to work, do you feel a flow of energy, insight, and creativity moving through you? Or do you feel like you are scraping the bottom of an empty barrel? When you pursue a goal, do you feel supported by an invisible intelligence guiding your steps? Or do you feel like you are wandering in the dark, hoping to stumble upon success? These feelings are not accidents. They are diagnostic tools. They tell you whether the wire is touching the source. If you feel drained, you are disconnected. If you feel energized, you are connected. It is that simple. The power is either flowing through you or it is not. And if it is not, the solution is not to try harder. The solution is to reconnect. The solution is to stop pushing the streetcar and grab the wire. Wattles understood that most people fail not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack connection. They operate from their own limited reserves rather than from the infinite reservoir. They rely on their own small strength rather than the boundless strength of the universal power. And this is why they burn out. This is why they struggle. This is why they fail. Not because they are lazy. Many of them work desperately hard. Not because they are stupid. Many of them are intelligent and skilled. They fail because they are disconnected. They are trying to light a city with a flashlight when they could flip a switch and illuminate everything. They are trying to lift the rock with their bare hands when they could use the lever. And the tragedy is that the lever is right there. The wire is right there. The connection is available at every moment. They simply do not know how to establish it. So how do you establish this connection? How do you throw the switch? How do you lift the arm of the streetcar so that it touches the wire and receives the power? This is the question that Wattles answers with a single, transformative word: identification. You must stop identifying as a separate, isolated, struggling individual. You must stop seeing yourself as alone in the universe, fighting for survival with your own meager resources. This identity is the disconnection. This belief is the severed wire. As long as you think of yourself as separate from the power, you are separate from the power. As long as you believe you must do everything yourself, you will do everything yourself, and you will fail, because the tasks of life are too great for any individual acting alone. But when you shift your identification, when you recognize that you are not separate from the creative power, but are in fact an expression of it, a channel for it, a vessel of it, then the connection is made. Then the wire touches the source. Then the electricity flows. This is not arrogance, this is truth. You are not claiming to be God. You are claiming to be connected to God. You are not saying you have infinite power in yourself. You are saying that infinite power is available to you through connection. And this distinction is everything. The man who thinks he is God becomes delusional. The man who thinks he is disconnected from God becomes desperate. But the man who understands that he is a channel for God becomes powerful. He does not generate the river. He simply opens the gate. He does not create the electricity. He simply completes the circuit. And when the circuit is complete, the lights come on. The machinery starts. The streetcar moves. And he rides it effortlessly to his destination, while the disconnected man is still pushing his streetcar down the tracks, exhausted and defeated, wondering why success is so hard. When you say, "I can't," you cut the wire. When you say, "This is impossible for me," you sever the connection. When you look at a challenge and feel only your own inadequacy, you have identified as the generator rather than the conductor. And the moment you do this, you lose the leverage. You become the man pushing the rock. But when you say, "I can because the power is in me," you throw the switch. When you say, "The solution to this problem already exists in the infinite mind, and I am opening myself to receive it," you restore the connection. When you approach your work, not with the anxiety of someone who must create everything from nothing, but with the confidence of someone who is simply channeling what already exists, you become the streetcar in motion. You become the wire touching the source. You become the lever lifting the rock. And what seemed impossible becomes simple. What seemed exhausting becomes effortless. What seemed like a lifetime of struggle becomes a moment of alignment. This is the first half of the leverage secret. The second half is even more powerful, because once you understand that the power exists and that you can connect to it, the next question becomes, how do you maintain the connection? How do you keep the wire touching the source? How do you ensure that the circuit remains closed so that the power flows continuously rather than intermittently? This is where most people fail. They touch the wire for a moment, they feel the surge of power, they accomplish something great, and then they disconnect. They fall back into doubt. They fall back into the belief that they must do everything themselves. They fall back into hard labor. And the streetcar stops. The lights go out. The leverage disappears. Wattles gives us the answer. You maintain the connection through conscious, deliberate, repeated identification. You must remind yourself again and again that you are not alone, that you are not the source, that the power is flowing through you. This is not a one-time realization. This is a daily practice. This is a moment-by-moment discipline. And here is where the true mastery begins. Because when you make this connection a habit, when you operate from this place of leverage consistently, you stop being a person who occasionally achieves great things and becomes a person who continuously achieves great things. You stop being someone who has good days and bad days and becomes someone who has powerful days and more powerful days. The difference between the master and the amateur is not talent. The difference is connection. The master knows how to grab the wire and hold it. The amateur touches the wire occasionally and wonders why his results are inconsistent. If you want consistent power, you need consistent connection. If you want continuous leverage, you need continuous identification. And if you want to replace hard labor with effortless achievement, you must make this connection the foundation of your entire existence. You must wake up connected. You must work connected. You must solve problems connected. You must create connected. And when you do, the rock that was immovable becomes as light as air. Because you are no longer lifting it, the lever is. Now we arrive at the heart of the mechanism, the word that unlocks the entire system, the single concept that transforms the streetcar analogy from a beautiful metaphor into a practical, usable technology. That word is identification. This is not a word you will find in most success literature. This is not a concept taught in business schools or self-help seminars. But it is the secret. It is the lever. It is the fulcrum upon which your entire life will pivot. Identification means this. You must stop identifying yourself as a separate, isolated, limited entity struggling alone in a hostile universe. You must stop seeing yourself as a lone warrior fighting for survival. You must stop believing that your power begins and ends with your physical body, your personal knowledge, your individual will. This identity, this sense of separateness, is the root of all struggle. It is the disconnection. It is the severed wire. As long as you believe you are separate, you are separate. As long as you think you must generate the power, you must generate the power. And you will fail because the power required to achieve greatness is infinite and you are finite. But you are not separate. This is the truth that the world has hidden from you. This is the reality that the sages, mystics, and masters have tried to communicate across centuries. You are not a separate entity. You are an individualized expression of the one infinite power. You are a wave in the ocean, believing it is separate from the ocean. You are a ray of sunlight, believing it is separate from the sun. This belief in separateness is an illusion, and it is an illusion that costs you everything. It costs you your peace, your power, and your potential. Because when you identify as separate, you cut yourself off from the source. You try to live from your own small reservoir when you could be drawing from the infinite supply. You try to solve problems with your own limited intellect when you could be accessing the universal intelligence. You try to create wealth from your own meager resources when you could be channeling the wealth that already exists in formless substance. Identification is the act of consciously shifting this perception. It is the deliberate choice to see yourself not as separate, but as connected, not as isolated, but as integrated, not as alone, but as one with the power. And this shift is not a matter of belief in the sense of wishful thinking. This is not positive thinking or affirmation or pretending. This is recognition. This is seeing what is actually true. You are connected to the power. This is a fact. The question is whether you recognize this fact or ignore it. If you recognize it, you complete the circuit. If you ignore it, you remain disconnected. The power is always there. The wire is always live. The electricity is always flowing from the plant. But if the streetcar does not raise its arm to touch the wire, the streetcar does not move. Your recognition, your identification is the arm that completes the connection. How do you practice this identification? You begin with language. You begin with the words you say to yourself when you encounter a challenge. The old identification says, I don't know how to do this. I don't have the resources. I don't have the skills. I can't solve this problem. Every one of these statements is a declaration of separateness. Every one of these statements cuts the wire. You are identifying as the isolated individual who must generate the solution from nothing. But the new identification says, the solution to this problem already exists in infinite intelligence, and I am connected to that intelligence. The resources I need already exist in universal supply, and I am connected to that supply. The wisdom required to handle this situation already exists in the one mind, and I am an expression of that mind. Do you see the difference? The first identification places the burden entirely on you. The second identification acknowledges that the burden is carried by the power, and you are simply the channel through which the power works. This is not passivity. This is not sitting back and waiting for miracles to fall from the sky. This is active reception. This is deliberate connection. When you identify as connected to the power, you still take action. But the action is inspired rather than desperate. The action flows from insight rather than anxiety. You move forward not because you are forcing outcomes, but because you are following guidance. And this guidance comes from the connection. When the wire touches the source, information flows. Ideas appear. Solutions emerge. Doors open. The man who is disconnected must figure everything out with his own intellect. The man who is identified as connected receives intelligence from a source far greater than his personal mind. This is the leverage. This is the multiplication of force. One man tries to solve a problem with his brain. The other man opens his brain to the universal mind and allows the solution to be revealed. Which man do you think succeeds faster? But here is the critical point that most people miss. Identification is not something you do once. It is something you must do continuously. The streetcar does not touch the wire once and then disconnect. It maintains constant contact. If the contact is broken even for a moment, the power stops flowing. In the same way, you must maintain constant identification with the power. You must wake up each morning and consciously recognize, I am not alone. I am not separate. The infinite intelligence that created galaxies and orchestrates the movement of planets is the same intelligence that flows through me. I am connected to that intelligence. I draw from that power. I operate as a channel for that force. This is not a mantra. This is not a ritual. This is a statement of truth that realigns your consciousness with reality. And when your consciousness is aligned with reality, you have leverage. When your consciousness is misaligned, when you believe you are separate, you have only struggle. The world will tell you this is arrogance. The world will tell you that claiming connection to universal power is egotistical, delusional, or blasphemous. But the world is wrong. Arrogance is claiming that you are the power. Humility is recognizing that the power flows through you. Arrogance is believing you can do everything yourself. Wisdom is understanding that you can do nothing of lasting value by yourself. The man who says, I am God, is deluded. The man who says, I am separate from God, is defeated. But the man who says, I am a channel for the power of God, is positioned for greatness. This is not ego. This is alignment. And alignment is the essence of leverage. The lever works because it is positioned correctly in relation to the fulcrum. When you position yourself correctly in relation to the power, not as the source but as the conductor, you gain access to infinite force. Now let us address the voice of doubt that arises in your mind when you hear this teaching. That voice says, but I have tried this. I have believed in the power of the mind. I have used affirmations and visualizations, and I have not experienced this effortless power you are describing. I still struggle, I still fail. What am I doing wrong? The answer is this. You are touching the wire intermittently rather than continuously. You are identifying as connected when you feel inspired, and then reverting to identification as separate when challenges arise. You are using the streetcar analogy as a metaphor rather than as a mechanism. Let me be clear. This teaching is not metaphor. This is literal. There is a real power. There is a real connection. And when you make that connection and maintain it, real results follow. But the connection must be maintained. You cannot connect for 5 minutes in the morning during meditation and then spend the rest of the day operating from doubt, fear, and the belief that you are alone. That is like touching the wire for 1 second and then wondering why the streetcar did not travel 100 miles. The practice of identification requires vigilance. It requires that you monitor your thoughts and catch yourself every time you slip back into the old identity of separateness. Every time you say, "I can't," stop and correct yourself. "The power in me can." Every time you say, "I don't know," stop and correct yourself. "The intelligence in me knows, and the answer is coming to me now." Every time you feel overwhelmed, stop and reconnect. "I am not doing this alone. The infinite power is doing this through me. My only job is to maintain the connection and follow the guidance." This is not self-deception. This is self-correction. You are correcting the lie of separateness with the truth of connection. And as you practice this correction again and again, the connection becomes natural. The wire stays in place, the power flows continuously, and you stop being someone who occasionally touches greatness and becomes someone who lives in greatness. This is the leverage secret in its purest form. You are not the generator. You are the conductor. You are not the source. You are the channel. You are not creating the power. You are connecting to the power that already exists. And when you understand this, when you identify as this, when you operate from this truth every moment of every day, the rock becomes light. The impossible becomes possible. The lifetime of hard labor is replaced by the elegance of aligned action. You stop pushing the streetcar and you start riding it. And the ride is smooth, effortless, and exhilarating, because you are no longer relying on your own small strength. You are drawing from the strength of the universe itself. This is what Wallace Wattles discovered. This is what he practiced. This is what he taught. And this is what you must now make your own. Not as a belief, not as a hope, but as an identity, as a truth, as a way of being. Because when this becomes who you are, leverage is not something you use. Leverage is what you are. We have established the foundation. You understand that you are a streetcar designed to connect to a power source, and that this connection is made through identification. But now we must build the bridge between this principle and the larger system of reality creation that we have been exploring on this channel. Because the leverage secret does not exist in isolation. It is not a separate teaching, disconnected from everything else you have learned. It is, in fact, the missing piece that makes everything else work. Let us begin with the cornerstone concept, the thinking stuff. We know from previous explorations that there exists a formless substance that permeates all space, that responds to thought, and that is the raw material from which all things are created. This is not theory. This is the foundation of reality. Every visible thing was once invisible. Every physical object was once an idea. Every achievement was once a thought held in someone's mind, with clarity and conviction. The thinking stuff takes the impression of that thought and hardens it into form. This is the mechanism of creation. But here is the question that stops most people. How do you access this thinking stuff? How do you impress your thought upon it with enough force and clarity to bring about actual physical results? Many people hear the teaching. They understand the principle, they hold the vision, and nothing happens. They form the thought, they repeat the affirmations, they visualize the outcome, and the outcome does not manifest. And they conclude incorrectly that the teaching does not work. But the teaching does work. The thinking stuff does respond. The problem is not with the principle, the problem is with the connection. They are trying to impress their thought upon the formless substance, using only their own personal, limited mental force. They are pushing the streetcar, they are trying to generate the power themselves, and their personal force is simply not strong enough to move the substance in a meaningful way. It is like trying to carve marble with your fingernail. The marble is there. The desire to carve is there. But the tool is inadequate. This is where the leverage secret transforms everything. You do not need more personal force. You need to connect to infinite force. You do not need a stronger mind. You need to connect your mind to the universal mind. Think of your individual mind as a grappling hook. That hook by itself cannot pull you anywhere. It has no power. But when you throw that hook into the thinking stuff, when you connect your thought to the formless substance, then the substance pulls you. The thinking stuff is not passive. It is alive. It is intelligent. It is responsive. When you impress a thought upon it with clarity and faith, the substance begins to organize itself around that thought. Circumstances shift. Opportunities appear. People come into your life. Resources materialize. You did not create these things through personal effort. You initiated them through mental connection. Your thought was the grappling hook. The thinking stuff was the mountain. Once the hook caught the mountain pulled you up. But most people never throw the hook, or they throw it weakly, half-heartedly, with doubt and fear clouding the aim. And so the hook does not catch. The connection is not made. The leverage is not established. Wallace Wattles understood this perfectly. He saw that the teaching about the thinking stuff was incomplete without the teaching about connection. It is not enough to know that the substance exists. You must know how to access it, and you access it through identification. When you identify as separate from the substance, your thought bounces off the surface like a pebble skipping on water. But when you identify as one with the substance, your thought penetrates deeply, like a seed planted in fertile soil. The difference is identification. The difference is connection. The difference is whether you see yourself as outside the system or inside the system, as separate from the creative power or as an expression of the creative power. Let me illustrate this with precision. Imagine two people with the same goal, to create financial abundance. Both of them understand the principle of the thinking stuff. Both of them hold the vision of wealth. Both of them take action toward their goal. But the first person operates from the identity of separateness. He thinks, I want to be wealthy, but I'm currently poor. The money is out there, and I need to go get it. I need to work hard, compete, struggle, and force my way to success. This person is pushing the streetcar. He is trying to create wealth through personal effort alone. His thought is disconnected from the formless substance because he sees wealth as external, as separate, as something he does not have and must acquire. And so he works and works and works, and the wealth remains elusive. He is pushing the rock with his bare hands. Now observe the second person. He operates from the identity of connection. He thinks, wealth already exists in the formless substance. Infinite supply is the nature of the universe. I am not separate from this supply. I am a channel through which it flows. My job is not to create wealth, but to align myself with the wealth that already exists. I impress my thought of abundance upon the thinking stuff, knowing that the stuff is already moving, to bring that thought into physical form. I do not struggle. I connect. I do not force. I receive. This person is riding the streetcar. He is using leverage. His thought penetrates the formless substance because it is aligned with the truth of the universe, and the results are not proportional to his effort. They are proportional to his connection. He can achieve in 1 year what the first person cannot achieve in a lifetime because he is drawing from infinite supply, while the first person is drawing from his own limited resources. This is the leverage. This is the multiplication of force. This is what happens when the grappling hook catches the mountain. Do you see how this changes everything? The thinking stuff is not just a concept to be understood. It is a power source to be connected to. And the connection is made through the mental state of identification. When you identify as one with the substance, your thoughts carry weight. When you identify as separate, your thoughts carry only the force of your personal will, which is small and finite. This is why some people manifest easily and others struggle despite enormous effort. The difference is not in the amount of action. The difference is in the presence or absence of leverage. One person is connected to the powerhouse. The other is trying to generate power with a hand crank. Both are turning the wheel, but only one is producing enough energy to light up the city, and the one who is connected works less and achieves more, not because he is lazy, but because he is smart. He understands the principle. He uses the lever, he completes the circuit, and the thinking stuff responds to his thought with creative force that is infinite, inexhaustible, and absolutely reliable. This is the bridge between the teachings. The thinking stuff is the medium through which your desires become reality. Identification is the state of consciousness that gives your thought the power to impress that medium, and the leverage secret is the understanding that you do not generate this power yourself. You connect to the power that already exists. When these three elements come together, the substance, the state, and the connection, you have a complete system. You have the mechanism of effortless creation. You have the technology that allows you to achieve greatness without burning out, to create wealth without exhausting yourself, to manifest your vision without sacrificing your peace. This is what the masters discovered. This is what they lived. And this is what you must now make operational in your own life, not as a philosophy, not as a belief, but as a practice, as a technology, as a lever that you pull every single day. Let us make this even more practical. When you sit down to work on your goal, whatever that goal may be, you must begin by establishing the connection. Do not start with action. Start with identification. Pause. Close your eyes if necessary. And remind yourself of the truth. I am not doing this alone. I am not creating this from nothing. The solution I seek already exists in the infinite mind. The resources I need already exist in universal supply. The path to my goal already exists in the thinking stuff. My job is not to figure everything out with my limited intellect. My job is to connect to the infinite intelligence and allow the answers to flow through me. This is not prayer in the traditional sense. This is not begging an external God for favors. This is alignment. This is the recognition that the power you need is already within you, around you, and flowing through you, if you will simply stop blocking it with doubt, fear, and the belief that you are alone. When you begin your work from this state of identification, everything changes. The work itself becomes easier, ideas come faster, solutions appear more readily. You find yourself taking inspired action rather than desperate action. You move with confidence rather than anxiety, and the results come not through grinding effort but through aligned movement. You are no longer pushing the streetcar, you are riding it. The wire is touching the source, the electricity is flowing, and the streetcar moves smoothly, effortlessly, inevitably toward the destination. This is not magic. This is mechanics. This is the science of leverage applied to the art of creation. And once you experience it, once you feel what it is like to work with the power rather than against it, you will never go back to the old way. You will never again try to lift the rock with your bare hands, because you will have discovered the lever, and the lever changes everything. Now we come to a question that may have been forming in your mind. If connection and identification are the keys to leverage, how do you maintain that connection when the world is constantly trying to break it? How do you keep the wire touching the source when every day brings challenges, setbacks, failures, and fears that pull you back into the old identity of separateness? This is where we must bring in another master. This is where we must invoke the wisdom of James Allen, whose teachings on inner peace provide the essential defense that makes the leverage secret sustainable. Because here is the truth: you cannot maintain connection to the powerhouse if your mind is in chaos. You cannot keep the circuit closed if your thoughts are scattered, anxious, and reactive. The streetcar does not move if the wire is shaking violently. Connection requires stability. Leverage requires a firm foundation. And James Allen taught us exactly how to build that foundation. In his work, Allen speaks of constructing a citadel, an inner fortress of peace, strength, and calm that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. This citadel is not built from stone. It is built from disciplined thought. It is built from the daily practice of guarding the mind against destructive patterns, reactive emotions, and negative influences. Most people leave their minds completely unguarded. They allow any thought to enter. They react to every provocation. They are tossed around by circumstances like a leaf in the wind, and because their minds are chaotic, they cannot connect to the power. The wire swings wildly, never making solid contact. The circuit opens and closes randomly, and the power flows erratically if it flows at all. These people wonder why their results are inconsistent. They wonder why success feels so hard. The answer is simple. They have no citadel. They have no stable base from which to operate. Wattles uses the piece that Allen teaches us to generate power. This is the synthesis. This is the integration of two teachings into one complete system. Allen teaches you to protect your mind, to cultivate inner calm, to refuse entry to thoughts of doubt, fear, and limitation. He teaches you to dwell in a state of serenity, regardless of what is happening around you. And when you achieve this state, when your mind is calm, clear, and centered, you create the perfect conditions for connection. The wire stops shaking, the circuit remains closed, the electricity flows smoothly and continuously. And now, from this position of inner stability, you apply Wattles's teaching. You identify as one with the power. You impress your thought upon the thinking stuff. You take inspired action. And because your foundation is solid, the results are solid. Because your mind is at peace, your power is uninterrupted. Think of it this way. Alan provides the fulcrum, and Wattles provides the lever. A lever without a stable fulcrum is useless. You can have the longest, strongest lever in the world, but if the fulcrum is sinking into mud, the lever will not lift the rock. The fulcrum must be firm. In the same way, you can understand the leverage secret perfectly. But if your mind is unstable, if you are constantly anxious, reactive, and pulled into drama, you cannot use the leverage. The power will not flow through a chaotic mind. The thinking stuff will not respond to scattered thought. You need the citadel, you need the inner fortress, you need the peace that comes from disciplined, guarded, intentional thinking. And once you have that peace, you can apply the leverage. Once the fulcrum is solid, the lever can move mountains. This is why so many people fail even when they understand the principles. They learn about the thinking stuff, they learn about identification, they learn about connection, but they do not learn to guard their minds. They do not build the citadel. And so the first time a challenge arises, the first time fear whispers in their ear, the first time doubt creeps in, they disconnect. The wire lifts from the source, the power stops flowing. And they revert back to hard labor, back to struggle, back to pushing the streetcar with their bare hands. They think the teaching failed, but the teaching did not fail. They failed to maintain the conditions necessary for the teaching to work. They tried to use a lever without a fulcrum, and the lever predictably did not work. This is the fatal mistake. This is the missing piece. And this is why the synthesis of Alan and Wattles is so powerful. Alan teaches you to build the citadel. Wattles teaches you what to do once the citadel is built. Let me give you a concrete example of how this works. Suppose you are working toward a financial goal. You have identified as connected to infinite supply. You have impressed your thought of abundance upon the formless substance. You are taking inspired action. Everything is moving forward. And then, a setback, an unexpected expense, a deal falls through, a source of income disappears. This is the test. This is the moment when most people disconnect. Fear rushes in. Doubt floods the mind. The voice says, "See, it's not working. You were delusional to believe in this. You're going to fail. You need to panic. You need to struggle. You need to work harder." And if you have not built the citadel, if you have not trained your mind to remain calm in the storm, you will believe that voice. You will disconnect from the power. You will abandon the lever and go back to pushing the rock. And the setback, which was only a temporary challenge, becomes permanent defeat. But if you have built the citadel, if you have trained yourself, as Alan teaches, to maintain inner peace regardless of outer circumstances, then you respond differently. The setback occurs, the fear arises, but you do not allow it entry. You recognize it as a thought, not a truth. You remain calm. You return to the state of identification. You remind yourself, "I am connected to infinite supply." One setback does not change the law. The thinking stuff is still responding to my thought. The power is still flowing through me. This challenge is not a sign of failure. It is part of the process. I remain connected. I remain aligned. I maintain the circuit. And because you maintain the connection, the power continues to work. The thinking stuff continues to organize circumstances. And very soon, often much sooner than you expect, a new opportunity appears. A new door opens. A solution emerges. And you realize that the setback was not a defeat. It was a redirection. But you only recognized this because you stayed connected. You only benefited from the leverage because you maintained the foundation of peace. This is the integration. This is the complete system. Alan teaches you to protect the foundation. Wattles teaches you to build on the foundation. One without the other is incomplete. Peace without power is passivity. Power without peace is chaos. But peace combined with power, a calm mind connected to infinite intelligence, is unstoppable. This is the state of the true master. This is the consciousness of those who achieve great things without appearing to strain. They have built the citadel. They have grabbed the lever. And from their position of stability and connection, they move the world, not through force, not through struggle, but through leverage, through alignment, through the elegant application of principle. They are not working harder than everyone else. They are working smarter. They are using the tools that most people do not even know exist. So the question for you is this: are you building the citadel? Are you guarding your mind against the thoughts that break connection? Are you disciplining yourself to remain calm when circumstances challenge you? Because if you are not, you will not be able to maintain leverage. You will touch the power briefly, experience a surge of progress, and then disconnect the moment difficulty arises. And you will spend your life cycling between brief periods of success and long periods of struggle, never understanding why you cannot sustain the momentum. The answer is the citadel. The answer is the foundation. The answer is the inner peace that allows the outer power to flow. Build the fortress, guard the gate, refuse entry to fear, doubt, and reactivity. And from that place of unshakable calm, apply the leverage secret. Identify as one with the power, connect to the wire, and ride the streetcar of success effortlessly to your destination while others are still pushing theirs down the tracks, exhausted and wondering why life is so hard. The difference is not talent. The difference is the citadel. The difference is the lever. The difference is the combination of peace and power. And now, you know how to combine them. We have explored the philosophy. We have understood the mechanics. Now we must make this operational. Now we must give you a specific technique that you can use immediately today to establish and maintain the connection to the powerhouse. Wallace Wattles calls this technique the principle of power, and it is the most practical, actionable tool in his entire teaching. This is not theory. This is a method. This is a practice that, if applied consistently, will replace the exhausting labor of the struggling man with the effortless efficiency of the connected man. Listen carefully. Before you begin any difficult task, before you sit down to work on your goal, before you attempt to solve any problem, you must stop. You must pause. You must resist the temptation to immediately dive into frantic action. Because frantic action comes from disconnection. It comes from the belief that you must generate all the force yourself, and that belief, as we have established, leads only to exhaustion and failure. Instead, you stop. You close your eyes if necessary. You take a breath, and you make a conscious, deliberate internal declaration. You say to yourself with full conviction, "The power to do this is entering me now." Not, "I hope the power will come." Not, "I wish I had the power." But, "The power is entering me now." This is an act of identification. This is you throwing the switch. This is you raising the arm of the streetcar to touch the wire. And the moment you make this declaration with sincerity and focus, the connection is established. The circuit closes. The electricity begins to flow. You have aligned yourself with infinite intelligence. You have positioned yourself to receive the wisdom, the insight, the energy, and the guidance necessary to accomplish the task before you. And now, from this state of connection, you act. Not desperately, not anxiously, but with the calm confidence of someone who knows that he is not alone, someone who knows that the power is working through him. This technique transforms the nature of work itself. Most people approach their tasks with a sense of dread. They look at the mountain of work ahead of them and feel overwhelmed. They think, "I have to do all of this. I have to figure this out. I have to generate the ideas, make the decisions, solve the problems, and execute the plan. And I don't know if I have enough time, enough energy, enough intelligence." This mindset is the disconnection. This mindset is the generator trying to power the city. And it leads inevitably to stress, burnout, and mediocre results. But when you begin with the principle of power, when you declare "the power to do this is entering me now," you shift into a completely different state. You are no longer the one who must do everything. You are the channel through which everything is done. You are the wire, not the generator. And the generator is infinite. The generator never runs out. The generator never gets tired. And when you connect to it, neither do you. Let us break this down even further because I want you to understand the precision of this technique. The declaration, "The power to do this is entering me now," contains three critical elements. First, acknowledgement. You are acknowledging that the power exists, that it is real, that it is available. This is not wishful thinking. This is recognition of truth. The power does exist. Universal intelligence is a fact, not a belief. By acknowledging this, you open yourself to receive it. Second, present tense. You are not saying the power will enter me someday. You are saying the power is entering me now. This is crucial. The power is always available in the present moment, not in the future. Not after you have proven yourself worthy. Now, always now, by declaring it in the present tense, you claim it immediately. You do not wait, you connect. Third, confidence. The statement is not a question, it is not a hope, it is a declaration. You are stating with certainty that the power is entering you. This confidence completes the circuit. Doubt opens the circuit. Confidence closes it. And when the circuit is closed, the electricity flows. Now, what happens after you make this declaration? You will notice something remarkable. The task that seemed impossible a moment ago now seems manageable. The problem that appeared overwhelming now seems solvable. Ideas begin to come to you. You see solutions that were invisible before. You feel a surge of energy that was not there before. This is not your imagination. This is the actual flow of infinite intelligence through your consciousness. The power you declared is, in fact, entering you. And now as you work differently. You do not force, you do not strain, you follow the flow. An idea comes, you act on it. An impulse arises, you trust it. A direction appears, you move in it, and you find that the work is easier than you expected. The solutions come faster than you anticipated. The results exceed what you thought possible. This is leverage. This is the streetcar in motion. This is what happens when you stop pushing and start connecting. But here is the critical point. You must practice this technique consistently. Once is not enough. The principle of power is not a one-time miracle. It is a daily discipline. It is a habit that must be cultivated until it becomes automatic. Every morning before you begin your day, declare, "The power to do this is entering me now." Before every important meeting, every difficult conversation, every creative session, pause and declare. Before you write, before you build, before you sell, before you lead, connect. Make this your ritual. Make this your foundation. Because the more you practice this, the stronger the connection becomes. The wire stays in place, the circuit remains closed, and the power flows continuously rather than intermittently. You stop being someone who occasionally taps into greatness and becomes someone who lives in a constant state of connection. This is mastery. This is the difference between the amateur and the professional. The amateur hopes for inspiration. The professional creates the conditions for inspiration through deliberate practice of the principle of power. Now, let me address a concern that may be arising in your mind. You may be thinking, but what if I declare this and I don't feel anything? What if I say the power is entering me now and nothing changes? What if the task is still difficult and I still don't have the answers? This is where faith comes in, not blind faith, but intelligent faith. Faith in the law. Faith in the principle. When you declare the power is entering me now, the power does enter you. This is a law, not a suggestion, but you may not feel it immediately. You may not perceive it consciously. The thinking stuff works beneath the surface of awareness. The universal intelligence operates through subtle impulses, quiet intuitions, and gentle guidance. You must learn to trust the process even when you do not feel dramatic results immediately. The power is flowing, the connection is established, but like electricity running through a wire, you may not see it. You only see the light when you complete the circuit by taking action. So declare the power. Connect to the source, and then act. Do not wait for a lightning bolt. Do not wait for a voice from heaven. Do not wait for certainty. The certainty comes through action, not before action. You act from the connection, and the results of the connection become visible through the action. This is how it works. This is the mechanism. And the more you practice this, The more you declare, connect, and act, the more evidence you accumulate. You begin to see that when you work from connection, things go better. Problems solve themselves faster. Opportunities appear more frequently. Success comes more easily. And this evidence strengthens your faith, which strengthens your connection, which produces more evidence. This is the upward spiral. This is the virtuous cycle. This is how the master is created, not through one moment of enlightenment, but through consistent, daily practice of the principle of power. One declaration at a time. One connection at a time. One inspired action at a time. Until connection becomes your default state, until leverage becomes your natural way of operating, until the streetcar rides smoothly and effortlessly, and you have completely forgotten what it was like to push. The principle of power establishes the connection, but there is something that breaks the connection faster than anything else. There is a poison that severs the wire and stops the flow of electricity instantly. That poison is anxiety. That poison is worry. That poison is the gnawing, relentless fear that you are not going to make it, that the plan is not going to work, that the outcome is not going to be what you want. Anxiety is the enemy of leverage. It is the friction that destroys the mechanism. It is the hand that pulls the wire away from the source. And if you cannot abandon anxiety, you cannot maintain the connection. If you cannot surrender worry, you cannot access the power. This is not optional. This is not a suggestion. This is a requirement. You cannot worry and have leverage at the same time. The two states are mutually exclusive. Worry is the declaration that you are alone, that you are separate, that you must control everything with your own limited power. And that declaration cuts the wire instantly. Wallace Wattles understood this perfectly. He saw that most people sabotage their own success, not through lack of effort, but through excess of anxiety. They do the work, but they do it from a state of fear. They take the action, but they take it from a state of doubt. And because the state is wrong, the results are wrong. The action disconnected from the power produces only exhaustion, but the action connected to the power produces multiplication. The difference is not in what you do. The difference is in the state from which you do it, and that state must be free of anxiety. It must be characterized by calm expectation, by confident trust, by the peaceful knowing that the outcome is already secure because the power is handling it. This is not denial. This is not pretending that challenges do not exist. This is the recognition that you have a partner in this endeavor. You have access to infinite intelligence. You have connected to the powerhouse. And when the power is flowing, worry is illogical. Worry is the belief that you must control the uncontrollable. Leverage is the acceptance that the power is already controlling it for you. Let me make this concrete. You have a goal. You have taken action toward that goal. You have done everything you know to do. And now you wait for results. This is the moment when most people destroy their leverage. They begin to worry. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I lose everything? These thoughts are the disconnection. These thoughts are the wire lifting away from the source. Because when you worry, you are operating from the assumption that the outcome depends entirely on you. You are forgetting that you declared, "The power to do this is entering me now." You are forgetting that you connected to infinite intelligence. You are forgetting that the thinking stuff is organizing circumstances in your favor. And in your forgetting, you disconnect. And in your disconnection, you lose the leverage. The power was working for you, but you stopped it by inserting your anxiety into the process. The solution is surrender. Not the surrender of passivity, but the surrender of control. You must do your part. You must take inspired action. You must impress your thought upon the formless substance. You must maintain your identification with the power. But once you have done your part, you must release the outcome. You must trust the process. You must surrender the need to micromanage every detail, to control every variable, to see immediate proof of success. This is the hardest part for most people. They want to control. They want to force. They want to make things happen through sheer willpower. And in their forcing, they break the circuit. They switch from connection to disconnection. They switch from leverage to hard labor. And they wonder why success suddenly becomes difficult again. The answer is simple. They stopped trusting. They started worrying, and worry severs the connection faster than anything else. But how do you abandon worry? How do you release anxiety when the stakes feel so high, when the outcome feels so important, when fear is screaming in your ear? You do it by remembering the machine. You have built a machine. The machine consists of your clear mental image of what you want, your declaration that the power is entering you, your identification as one with infinite intelligence, your impressed thought upon the formless substance, and your inspired action. This machine, when properly assembled, produces results. It is a law, it is a mechanism, it works, but it only works if you do not dismantle it with worry. The moment you begin to worry, you take the machine apart, you disconnect the wires. You stop trusting the process, and the machine stops working. Not because the machine is broken, but because you stopped operating it correctly. So when anxiety arises, and it will arise because you are human, and fear is a natural response to uncertainty, you do not fight it. You do not suppress it. You acknowledge it. You say, "I see you, fear. I hear you, worry. You are trying to protect me, but you are not needed here. I have connected to the power. I have done my part. The outcome is being handled by infinite intelligence. My job now is to maintain the connection, not to control the outcome. I release this anxiety. I surrender this worry. I trust the machine I have built." And then you return to the state of calm expectation. You return to the citadel. You guard your mind against the thoughts that break connection, and you allow the power to do its work without interference. This is not easy, especially at first. You will slip. You will catch yourself worrying. You will notice anxiety creeping in. But each time you notice it, you have a choice. You can indulge the anxiety and break the connection, or you can release the anxiety and maintain the connection. One choice leads to struggle. The other leads to leverage. One choice makes you the generator. The other makes you the wire. And the more you practice releasing anxiety, the easier it becomes. The more you practice trusting the power, the stronger the connection becomes. And eventually you reach a state where worry no longer arises automatically. You reach a state where your default is trust rather than fear. And from that state, everything changes. The work becomes easy. The results become consistent. The success becomes inevitable. Because you are no longer fighting the process, you are riding the process. You are no longer trying to control the machine. You are simply operating it correctly and allowing it to produce the outcomes it was designed to produce. This is the second pillar of practical application. The first pillar is the declaration, "The power is entering me now." The second pillar is the release. I surrender the outcome to the power. One establishes the connection, the other maintains it. One throws the switch, the other keeps the circuit closed, and together they create the conditions for continuous leverage. You work from connection. You release through trust. You act from power. You surrender the anxiety. And the machine runs smoothly, efficiently, effortlessly, producing results far beyond what your personal effort could ever achieve. This is the leverage secret in full operation. This is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who merely dream of it. The dreamers worry. The masters trust. The dreamers try to control everything. The masters surrender to the power. The dreamers exhaust themselves with anxiety. The masters conserve their energy through faith. And in the end, the masters achieve more in 1 year than the dreamers achieve in a lifetime, not because they are smarter, not because they are luckier, but because they understand leverage, they understand connection, they understand that worry is the enemy and trust is the mechanism, and they choose daily to operate from trust rather than from fear. Now we arrive at a crucial juncture. Everything we have discussed so far could be dismissed by the skeptical mind as abstract philosophy, as motivational rhetoric, as ideas that sound good but have no basis in reality. And if this teaching were only philosophy, that skepticism would be justified. But it is not only philosophy, it is science, it is mechanism. And now we must prove it. Now we must demonstrate that the leverage secret is not wishful thinking, but a practical technology that produces measurable results. And the proof comes not from my words, but from your own experience. Wallace Wattles himself acknowledged this. He knew that belief comes not from argument, but from evidence. He knew that you would trust the teaching only after you had tested it and seen it work. So he gave specific instructions for validation. He told you exactly how to run the experiment that would prove to you beyond doubt that leverage is real. The validation process begins with a simple test. Choose a small goal. Not your ultimate dream, not your greatest ambition. Something modest, something specific, something that you can achieve relatively quickly. Perhaps it is solving a particular problem at work. Perhaps it is attracting a specific sum of money. Perhaps it is improving a relationship. Whatever it is, make it concrete, make it measurable, make it testable. And now apply everything you have learned. Before you take any action toward this goal, stop. Declare, the power to achieve this is entering me now. Identify yourself as connected to infinite intelligence. Impress your clear mental image of the desired outcome upon the thinking stuff. Build the citadel. Guard your mind against doubt, fear, and anxiety. Maintain the state of calm expectation. Take inspired action when the impulse comes. And then, here is the critical part, release the outcome. Surrender the need to control. Trust the machine you have built and observe what happens. What you will notice, if you follow these instructions faithfully, is that things begin to shift. Circumstances start to align in ways that seem almost coincidental, but are not coincidences. Opportunities appear that were not there before. People enter your life who have exactly what you need. Information comes to you at the precise moment you need it. Obstacles that seemed immovable suddenly dissolve. And the goal which you thought would require weeks or months of hard struggle manifests far more quickly and easily than you expected. This is the validation. This is the proof. You did not force this outcome through personal effort. You aligned yourself with the power, and the power produced the outcome. You threw the grappling hook into the thinking stuff, and the stuff pulled you to the destination. You connected to the wire, and the electricity did the work. This is not magic. This is leverage. And once you experience it once, you will never doubt it again. But here is what happens to most people during the validation phase. They apply the teaching inconsistently. They declare the power one day and forget it the next. They identify as connected in the morning and revert to separation by afternoon. They impress their thought on the substance and then immediately contaminate it with doubt. They take inspired action and then undermine it with anxiety. And when the results do not come instantly, they conclude that the teaching does not work. They abandon the experiment before it is complete. They pull the wire away from the source and then blame the powerhouse for not delivering electricity. This is the fatal error. The teaching does work. The mechanism does function, but it requires consistency. It requires that you maintain the connection long enough for the thinking stuff to organize circumstances. Creation takes time. Not because the power is slow, but because the physical world has momentum. You are shifting the direction of that momentum, and momentum does not reverse instantly. It reverses gradually, in response to sustained pressure. So when you run your validation experiment, commit to it fully. Commit for at least 30 days. 30 days of consistent practice, 30 days of daily declaration, 30 days of maintained identification, 30 days of guarded thoughts, 30 days of releasing anxiety, 30 days of inspired action without forcing outcomes. Give the machine time to work. Give the thinking stuff time to respond. Give the universe time to rearrange circumstances in your favor. And I promise you, if you do this consistently, if you maintain the connection without breaking it, if you operate from trust rather than fear, you will see results. You will experience the leverage. You will achieve your small goal, and in achieving it, you will gain the evidence you need to believe. And once you believe, you will apply the teaching to larger goals. And those larger goals will manifest with the same elegant efficiency. Because the principle does not change, the leverage does not diminish. Whether you are lifting a pebble or a boulder, the lever works the same way. The difference is only in the size of the vision and the strength of your identification with the power that accomplishes it. Let me give you an example from my own observation of those who have applied this teaching successfully. A man came to understand the leverage secret. He was struggling financially, working long hours for minimal pay, exhausted and frustrated. He decided to test the teaching. His small goal was to attract an additional $500 within 30 days, not through extra work, but through the application of leverage. He began his practice. Every morning he declared, "The power to attract this money is entering me now." He formed a clear mental image of receiving the money. He identified himself as connected to infinite supply. He guarded his mind against thoughts of lack. He refused to worry about how the money would come. He simply maintained the connection and took whatever inspired action arose, and within 3 weeks, not 30 days but 21 days, he received the money. Not from his job, not from his usual sources, but from an unexpected opportunity that appeared seemingly out of nowhere. A client he had worked with years earlier contacted him out of the blue and offered him a consulting project. The payment? Exactly $500. The man was stunned. He had not contacted this client. He had not marketed himself. He had not forced anything. He had simply held the vision, maintained the connection, and allowed the thinking stuff to bring the opportunity to him. This was his validation. This was his proof. And from that moment, he became a believer. He began to apply the teaching to larger goals. Within a year, he had tripled his income. Within 2 years, he had achieved financial independence, not through harder work, he actually worked fewer hours, but through consistent application of leverage. He stopped pushing the streetcar and started riding it. He stopped generating the power and started conducting it. And the results spoke for themselves. This is not an isolated case. This is the pattern that repeats every time someone applies the teaching correctly and maintains it consistently. But validation does not end with one success. Validation is ongoing. Every goal you achieve through leverage strengthens your faith. Every problem you solve through connection deepens your trust. Every manifestation you experience through alignment provides more evidence that the teaching is true, the mechanism is real, and the power is always available. And as your evidence accumulates, your doubt decreases. As your trust increases, your leverage increases. As your connection strengthens, your results multiply. This is the upward spiral I mentioned earlier. This is the compounding effect of applied knowledge. You start with a small test. The test succeeds. You try a larger test. That succeeds. You attempt an even larger goal. That manifests. And with each success, you become more convinced, more committed, more consistent in your practice. Until eventually, leverage is not something you use occasionally. It is how you live. It is your default mode. It is the lens through which you see all of reality. You no longer even think about pushing the streetcar. You automatically reach for the wire. You automatically connect to the power. And from that state, you create a life of achievement, abundance, and effortless success that astonishes those who are still struggling with hard labor. So here is your assignment. If you are serious about validating this teaching for yourself, choose your small goal today. Write it down. Make it specific and measurable. Commit to 30 days of consistent practice. Every morning, declare the power. Every day, maintain identification. Every moment, guard your thoughts. Every action, take from inspiration rather than desperation. Every worry, release through trust. And every night before sleep, visualize the outcome as already complete. Do this for 30 days without exception, without wavering, without doubting, and then observe what happens. The results will be your validation. The manifestation will be your proof, and the proof will transform you from a skeptic into a practitioner, from a doubter into a believer, from someone who hears about leverage into someone who uses leverage. This is how knowledge becomes power, not through belief alone, but through belief proven by experience. Not through hope alone, but through hope confirmed by results. And once you have the results, no one can take them from you. No one can convince you that this teaching is false because you have tested it and found it true. You have run the experiment and observed the outcome. You have thrown the switch and felt the electricity. You have grabbed the lever and lifted the rock. And now you know. And knowing, you are free. Free from the tyranny of hard labor. Free from the prison of struggle. Free to create the life you were always meant to live. But there is another dimension to this validation that we must explore. So far, we have spoken primarily about the leverage secret in the context of material success, attracting money, solving problems, achieving goals. And while these are important applications, they are not the full scope of Wattles' teaching. Because the book from which this secret comes is not titled The Science of Getting Rich. It is titled The Science of Being Great. And greatness is not the same as wealth. Greatness is not the same as achievement. Greatness is a quality of being. It is a state of consciousness. It is the expression of the full potential of the human mind and spirit. And Wattles understood that the leverage secret applies not only to what you have, but to who you become. The same principle that allows you to achieve financial abundance also allows you to develop genius, to cultivate wisdom, to embody excellence, to become the highest version of yourself. This is the ultimate validation. This is the proof that transcends material results. Because anyone can get lucky and become wealthy, but to transform yourself from an ordinary person into a person of greatness, that requires real power. That requires real leverage. Here is the radical insight. You do not need to develop genius through long years of study and practice. You need to connect to the genius mind. Every quality you admire, brilliance, creativity, wisdom, courage, eloquence, skill, already exists in perfect form within universal intelligence. The master artist does not create beauty from nothing. He connects to the beauty that exists in the formless substance and channels it onto canvas. The great inventor does not generate ideas from his personal mind. He opens his personal mind to the universal mind and receives the ideas that are waiting there. The inspiring leader does not manufacture charisma. He aligns himself with the power, and the power expresses itself through his words and presence. This is how greatness actually works. This is the secret that the world does not understand. Greatness is not something you build through incremental effort. Greatness is something you access through connection. You do not become great by trying harder. You become great by connecting to greatness itself. This is why Wattles wrote a separate book about greatness. He wanted to show that the same principle that creates material abundance also creates personal transformation. The streetcar analogy applies here as well. Most people try to develop themselves through self-improvement, through courses, books, training, practice. And these things have value. But they are slow, they are limited, they are the equivalent of pushing the streetcar. You are trying to generate excellence through personal effort, but when you understand leverage, you approach self-development differently. You say, the qualities I want to develop already exist in perfect form in universal intelligence. Wisdom exists, courage exists, brilliance exists, and I am connected to that intelligence. Therefore, I can channel those qualities. I do not need to create them from nothing. I need only to open myself to receive them. And when you operate from this understanding, transformation happens not over years, but over weeks. Not through grinding effort, but through elegant alignment. Let me give you a concrete example. Suppose you want to develop the quality of confidence. The traditional approach would be to read books about confidence, to practice confident behaviors, to repeat affirmations, to gradually build up your self-esteem through small successes. This can work, but it is slow and fragile. The leverage approach is different. You recognize that confidence is not something you must manufacture. Confidence already exists in the universal mind. Perfect, unshakable confidence. And because you are connected to the universal mind, you can access that confidence. So you declare, the power of confidence is entering me now. I am not a separate, insecure individual. I am an expression of infinite intelligence, and that intelligence is confident, capable, and powerful. I identify as that, I embody that. And when you make this declaration with conviction and maintain this identification consistently, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel confident, not because you convinced yourself through repetition, but because you connected to the source of confidence itself. And this confidence is not fragile. It does not depend on external validation. It is sourced from the power. And as long as you maintain the connection, the confidence remains. This is leverage applied to personal development. This is the mechanism of rapid transformation. The same principle applies to every quality, every skill, every capacity you wish to develop. Do you want to be more creative? Connect to the creative power. Do you want to be wiser? Connect to infinite wisdom. Do you want to be more loving? Connect to the source of love itself. You are not generating these qualities from your limited personal resources. You are channeling them from the unlimited universal supply. And when you channel rather than generate, there is no limit to how quickly or how profoundly you can transform. This is why some people seem to develop abilities almost overnight, while others struggle for years and make little progress. The difference is not talent or genetics or luck. The difference is leverage. One person is trying to become great through personal effort. The other is connecting to greatness and allowing it to express through him. One person is pushing the streetcar of self-improvement. The other is riding the streetcar of self-realization. And the ride is so much faster, so much easier, so much more profound than the push. This is the ultimate validation of the leverage secret. Not just that you can achieve your goals more easily, but that you can become a fundamentally different person. You can operate from a higher plane. You can see with greater clarity. You can act with greater power. You can speak with greater authority. Not because you trained yourself for decades, but because you connected to the source and allowed the source to upgrade you. This is the promise of the science of being great. This is the vision that Wattles held for every person who would read his work and apply his teaching. He saw that ordinary people could become extraordinary, not through superhuman effort, but through superconscious connection. He saw that you do not need to be born with genius to express genius. You need only to connect to the genius mind and allow it to think through you. And when you do, you will astound yourself. You will speak words you did not know you knew. You will solve problems you did not think you could solve. You will create things you did not believe you could create. Because you are not doing it. The power is doing it through you. And the power is infinite, inexhaustible, and always available. All you must do is grab the wire. All you must do is maintain the connection. All you must do is identify as the channel rather than the source. And then greatness becomes not a distant dream, but a present reality. Not something you strive for in the future, but something you embody right now. This is the validation. This is the proof. Not in theory, not in philosophy, but in the living, breathing, tangible transformation of who you are and what you are capable of achieving. We have traveled a long path together. We began with a simple image, a man trying to lift a rock, failing and then succeeding when given a lever. And from that image, we have extracted an entire science, a complete system, a practical technology for transforming your life from struggle to success, from exhaustion to effortlessness, from limitation to limitlessness. Now we must synthesize everything. Now we must bring all the pieces together into one coherent understanding that you can carry with you when this video ends. Because knowledge that is not integrated is knowledge that is not used, and knowledge that is not used is worthless. So let us integrate, let us build the final structure. Let us create the complete map of the leverage secret so that you can navigate by it for the rest of your life. The foundation is this: you are not a generator, you are a conductor. You were not designed to create power from nothing. You were designed to channel power from the infinite source. This is the central truth. This is the insight that changes everything. Most people spend their entire lives trying to be the generator, trying to create wealth from poverty, trying to create genius from ignorance, trying to create success from failure. And they exhaust themselves in the attempt. Because no individual human being has enough personal power to create lasting greatness through effort alone. But when you shift from generator to conductor, when you recognize that the power already exists and your only job is to connect to it, everything changes. The burden lifts, the struggle ends, the path becomes clear. You stop pushing the streetcar and start riding it. You stop trying to lift the rock with your bare hands and start using the lever. And the results that seemed impossible through personal effort become inevitable through connection to infinite power. The mechanism is identification. You connect to the power by identifying as one with it. As long as you see yourself as separate, as an isolated individual struggling alone in a hostile universe, you are disconnected. The wire is not touching the source. The circuit is open. The power is not flowing. But when you shift your identity, when you recognize that you are not separate from the creative power, but are in fact an expression of it, the connection is made. The circuit closes, the electricity flows, and now everything you do is amplified. Your thoughts carry weight because they are connected to the thinking stuff. Your actions produce results because they are inspired by infinite intelligence. Your goals manifest because they are aligned with universal law. This is not belief. This is not positive thinking. This is alignment with reality. And reality, when you align with it, supports you absolutely. The practice is the principle of power. Before every task, before every challenge, before every goal, you stop. You declare, "The power to do this is entering me now." You identify as connected. You open yourself to receive. And then you act, not from desperation, but from inspiration. Not from fear, but from faith. Not from the belief that you must do everything yourself, but from the confidence that the power is working through you. This is the daily discipline. This is the habit that creates the master, and it is supported by the citadel, the inner fortress of peace that James Allen taught you to build. Because you cannot maintain connection if your mind is in chaos. You cannot keep the circuit closed if your thoughts are scattered and reactive. The citadel provides the stable foundation. The principle of power provides the mechanism, and together they create the conditions for continuous leverage. The enemy is anxiety. Worry is the poison that breaks the connection faster than anything else. When you worry, you declare that you are alone, that you are separate, that the outcome depends entirely on your limited power. And that declaration severs the wire. The electricity stops flowing. The leverage disappears. And you are back to hard labor, back to struggle, back to pushing the streetcar. So you must learn to release anxiety. You must practice surrendering the outcome to the power. You must trust the machine you have built. This is not passivity. This is wisdom. You do your part. You declare, you identify, you act, and then you release. You let the power handle the details. You allow the thinking stuff to organize circumstances. You trust the process, and in that trust, you maintain the connection. In that connection, you maintain the leverage. And in that leverage, you achieve results that astonish you. The validation is experiential. You will not fully believe this teaching until you test it and see it work. So test it. Choose a small goal. Apply the method consistently for 30 days. Observe the results. And when the results come, when the goal manifests more easily than you expected, when opportunities appear out of nowhere, when solutions emerge without forcing, you will have your proof. You will know, beyond doubt, that leverage is real, and that knowing will transform you. You will apply the teaching to larger goals. You will extend the principle to personal development. You will use leverage not just to achieve more, but to become more, to access greatness, to embody excellence, to live as the highest version of yourself. This is the ultimate promise, not just success, but transformation, not just wealth, but greatness, not just achievement, but evolution. Wallace Wattles looked at humanity and saw two types of people. The first type struggles, strains, and suffers, believing that hard labor is the path to success. They work themselves to exhaustion and still die unfulfilled. The second type understands the secret. They connect to the power. They use leverage. And they achieve in 1 year what the first type cannot achieve in a lifetime. Which type do you want to be? This is not a question about talent. This is not a question about privilege or opportunity or luck. This is a question about understanding. Do you understand that you are a streetcar, or do you still believe you are the power plant? Do you understand that you can connect to infinite intelligence, or do you still believe you must figure everything out with your limited mind? Do you understand that leverage exists, or do you still believe that the only path to success is brutal, grinding, exhausting hard work? Your answer to this question will determine the entire trajectory of your life. Let me speak plainly. You have a choice right now. You can close this video, forget everything you heard, and go back to pushing the streetcar. You can go back to trying to lift the rock with your bare hands. You can go back to believing that success requires you to work harder, longer, and more desperately than everyone else. And if you make that choice, you will struggle. You will burn out. You will spend decades chasing dreams that remain forever out of reach. This is not a threat. This is a fact. Hard labor without leverage produces exhaustion, not achievement. Personal effort disconnected from universal power produces mediocrity, not greatness. You can work 100 hours a week for the rest of your life, and if you are pushing the streetcar instead of riding it, you will die tired and unfulfilled. This is the fate of those who do not understand leverage. This is the destiny of those who refuse to connect to the power. Or, and this is the critical choice, you can grab the wire. You can throw the switch. You can apply the principle of power starting today, right now, this very moment. You can stop identifying as a separate, struggling individual and start identifying as a channel for infinite intelligence. You can stop trying to generate success through personal effort and start allowing success to flow through you via connection to universal supply. You can stop pushing and start conducting, stop forcing and start flowing. Stop exhausting yourself and start empowering yourself. This is the choice. And it is not a one-time decision. It is a daily commitment, a moment-by-moment discipline, a continuous practice of connection. But if you make this choice, if you commit to this path, your life will change. Not gradually, not incrementally, but fundamentally, profoundly, irreversibly, because you will have discovered the lever. And once you discover the lever, you never go back to lifting rocks with your bare hands. Wallace Wattles himself said it perfectly, and I want you to hear his exact words because they contain the essence of everything we have explored. Man's power is small, but God's power is limitless. When man works with God, he becomes limitless. Read that again. Let it penetrate. Man's power is small. Your personal power, acting alone, is small. Your individual strength, disconnected from the source, is small. Your isolated efforts, generated from your own limited resources, are small. But God's power is limitless. The universal intelligence is limitless. The creative power is limitless. The formless substance is limitless. The supply is infinite. The wisdom is infinite. The potential is infinite. And when man works with God, when you connect to the power, when you identify as one with the intelligence, when you operate as a channel rather than a generator, you become limitless. Not because you are God, but because God is working through you. Not because you have infinite power in yourself, but because infinite power is flowing through you. This is the truth. This is the mechanism. This is the leverage secret in its purest, most powerful form. And this is not reserved for the chosen few. This is not available only to saints, sages, or spiritual masters. This is the birthright of every human being. You were designed for this. You were built for this. The capacity to connect to infinite intelligence is wired into your very nature. The ability to channel universal power is your inherent potential. But potential unrealized is potential wasted. So the question is not whether you can connect. The question is whether you will. Will you make the choice? Will you throw the switch? Will you grab the wire? Will you declare the power? Will you maintain the connection? Will you build the citadel? Will you release the anxiety? Will you trust the process? Will you live from leverage rather than from labor? This is the question that matters. This is the decision that determines everything. And the beautiful, empowering, magnificent truth is that the choice is yours. No one can make it for you. No one can connect for you. But no one can stop you from connecting either. The power is available. The wire is waiting. The source is always on. All you must do is reach up and make contact. So here is my message to you, the message that Wallace Wattles would give you if he were speaking to you today. Stop trying to do everything yourself. You were never meant to carry the weight alone. You were never meant to generate the power from within your own small self. You were meant to be a channel, a vessel, a conductor of the infinite force that creates galaxies and sustains worlds. That force is available to you right now. That power is flowing through the universe at this very moment, waiting for someone, waiting for you to connect to it. And when you connect, when you really connect, when you identify as one with that power, and maintain that identification with disciplined consistency, you will accomplish things that seem impossible. You will achieve goals that seem unrealistic. You will transform yourself in ways that seem miraculous, not because you are special, but because you are connected, not because you are superhuman, but because you are channeling the superconscious, not because you worked harder than everyone else, but because you worked smarter, because you used the lever, because you grabbed the wire, because you understood the secret that most people never discover. Greatness is not built through personal effort. Greatness is accessed through universal connection, and that connection is available to you always, if you will only reach for it. And so we arrive at the end, which is also the beginning, because everything you have learned here is useless until you apply it. Knowledge without action is entertainment, not transformation. Understanding without practice is theory, not technology. You now know the leverage secret. You now understand the mechanism. You now have the map. But the map is not the territory. The instruction is not the experience. The teaching is not the transformation. Only you can make this real. Only you can test this in the laboratory of your own life. Only you can throw the switch and feel the electricity. So the question is, will you? Or will you let this moment pass like so many other moments, inspired for an hour, unchanged for a lifetime? The choice, as always, is yours. But understand what is at stake. This is not about watching another video or learning another concept. This is about fundamentally altering the way you relate to reality itself. This is about stepping out of struggle and into flow. This is about replacing the exhausting grind of hard labor with the elegant efficiency of leverage. This is about your life, your future, your potential, your greatness. So here is what I am asking you to do. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not after you think about it for a while. Now. Right now, today. Before you move on to the next distraction, before the inspiration fades, before the doubt creeps back in, make a declaration. Write it in the comments below. Make it public. Make it real. Declare to yourself, to me, to the universe. I am connected to power. 4 words, 1 declaration. But those 4 words, when spoken with conviction, will throw the switch. They will complete the circuit. They will position you to receive the electricity that has always been flowing. Because when you declare I am connected to power, you are not making a wish, you are stating a truth, you are recognizing what already is. And in that recognition, you align with reality. And reality, when you align with it, moves to support you in ways that will astonish you. But the declaration is only the beginning. After you write those words, commit to the practice. 30 days, 1 month. Every morning before you begin your work, stop and declare, the power to do this is entering me now. Every evening before you sleep, visualize your goal as already achieved. Every moment in between, guard your mind. Build the citadel. Maintain the connection. Release the anxiety. Trust the process. Take inspired action and observe what happens. Document the synchronicities. Notice the opportunities. Pay attention to the solutions that appear. Record the progress. And at the end of 30 days, come back to this video and share your results. Tell us what manifested. Tell us how it felt to work from connection rather than from struggle. Tell us about the moment you realized that the lever was real, that the power was flowing, that the teaching actually works. Because your testimony will inspire others. Your validation will strengthen the faith of those who are just beginning. Your success will prove that this is not theory, it is technology. And when enough people apply this technology, when enough individuals grab the wire and ride the streetcar, we will create a wave of empowered, connected, leveraged human beings who transform not only their own lives, but the world itself. This is the final truth I want to leave you with. The world does not need more hard workers. The world is full of people grinding themselves to dust, sacrificing their health and their happiness in pursuit of success that remains forever out of reach. What the world needs is people who understand leverage, people who connect to the power, people who operate from a higher plane, people who achieve not through force, but through alignment, people who create not through struggle, but through connection, people who live as channels for infinite intelligence rather than as isolated individuals fighting for survival. Be one of those people. Make that choice, throw that switch, grab that wire, declare that power, and let the leverage lift you. The rock is waiting, the lever is ready, the fulcrum is solid, and you are standing right there, one decision away from effortless success. So drop the heavy load, stop pushing the streetcar, stop trying to generate what you can conduct, stop exhausting yourself when the power is waiting to flow through you. Reach up, make contact, close the circuit, and ride. Ride the streetcar of success all the way to your destination, while others are still pushing theirs, exhausted and defeated, wondering why life is so hard. The difference is not talent. The difference is leverage. The difference is connection. The difference is understanding. And now you understand, so write the words, make the declaration, begin the practice, and prepare to be amazed. Because when you connect to infinite power, the impossible becomes inevitable. And greatness is no longer a distant dream. It is your present reality. This is the leverage secret. This is the promise of Wallace Wattles. This is your inheritance. Claim it now.